Hey, Build Show Network, Steve Basic Architect. We're out here at our Riverside project, and today we're going to talk about window rough openings, specifically the sill detail. Now, I've been doing this for a little over 30 years. I've drawn literally tens, if not hundreds, of sill details, and it's one of these details that's just constantly in my mind and getting churned and trying to think of what is the best way. And so in this project here, we're doing a sill detail that is slightly different than I've ever done before. So we framed our rough opening. We folded our weather resistant barrier in on the jambs and on the head above me. But on the sill, we have our rough sill underneath here. But on top of that, we take what I call a rip sill. Now, the reason for the rip sill is we have our Zip R9 sheathing, and that comes over the face of the rough sill below that. So that gives me that 1.5 inch of foam. Now, the problem that we've had in the past with that is that if I just ran with that rough sill and had the Zip R9 on the front of it, I don't have a whole lot of meat basically or wood to attach things to. And there's a lot of things that are happening down on the sill, especially the weight of the windows. Now, this is a pretty small window, but in some cases around this house, we have windows that are in the maybe 6, 7, closing in on 800-pound window systems that are bearing down on that. We also want the attachment of the clips because we're using a Euro style window. But most importantly, getting that 1.5 inch face on the outside of the rough sill allows us to attach our finished sill, and we have something that we're attaching to. We're not trying to find a rough sill that's buried 2 inches into the wall system. So to give you a quick example, if I put an 1.5 inch sill out in front of that and I have that 2 inches, it's 3.5 inches just to the face of the rough sill. So that makes for some very, very long fasteners to the tune of like 4.5 inches plus to get that sill in there. By running the rip sill out, it gives me that face right on the exterior part of the wall. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, hey, Steve, that's a whole bunch of rough wood, but we're going to have our slope sill. We're going to properly flash that, get some zip stretch tape out here, fully get that all integrated with our corners on the rough opening, and bring that back to the end dam like we do in our normal details. It's just capturing that nailing board on the outside there. And the reason we call it a rip sill is that we end up with a wall here that is not a dimensional number, so that we have to take a 2x10 and rip it down to the size that we need to fit in there. So let's go back to the studio. I got a beautiful window sill detail drawn up that we're using for this project to talk about all the components. We'll go through it piece by piece, and we'll learn a little bit more about my new sill detail. So I'll see you back at the studio.
All right, so who in their right mind doesn't love a good sill detail? I don't think it gets much more exciting than the sill detail. Maybe a band joist water table detail, maybe a slab assembly detail, maybe a low slope roof eave detail, or maybe even a flat roof eave detail. Yeah, they're all pretty damn exciting. But today we're talking sill detail. So big red in hand, detail on the boards. Let's check it out. All right, so yeah, this is our window sill detail. Now, let me get you some orientation here. Here is the extent of our 2x8 wall. Right there. You can see this here. That's the 8 and that's the 2. So that's the 2x8. We have zip R9 here. So this is 1.5 inches. And then we have 7/16 here. So that's 1 inch and 15/16, I think it is. Plus a 7 1/4. Yeah, that gets us 9 3/16. So we're just a little bit over that 9 1/4 inch, or just under that 9 1/4 inch dimension. So we're able to take 2x10s and just rip them nice and cleanly. You can see we have our back dam here. You have our slope sill here coming across, and then of course this is our window frame here, and these are our 3 pieces of glass for our triple glazed window, and all the air entrainment there. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about on this was not water management or any of that, but just the durability basically of the detail. Like I said in the video, I've been contemplating this detail for a mighty long time because there's a lot that needs to happen, and what it really comes down to is a lot needs to happen. Right, I'm just going to highlight this area here. A lot needs to happen right there on that corner. Right, we have siding and sheathing that needs to get nailed in. We have sills and such that need to get attached there. We have the weight of the window. Now, on some of these, you know, if that rip sill wasn't there and we just had this foam and you had that piece of clapboard going up over the top, you don't really have anything to nail into because you have this whole area here of polyiso, and it really doesn't give you anything to nail to. And you get 7/16 OSB, which is, you know, maybe good enough to grab some siding, and you can screw all the way through into the stud to get the rain screen system hung on there, but there's still nothing there. And in the past, what I've done also is we've done the 2x8, and then we just rip a 2x2 and we'll infill that with the 2x2. But guys are, you know, oh, it takes us, we gotta go around the building twice and this and that. So I decided that we would just take our rough opening, which used to go to there, and we would take that rough opening and now go to there. So basically we would take that rough opening and add 1.5 inches. And then that allows us to have a space here for that rough sill. It gives me this highly accessible 1.5 inch block of 2x that I can gain access on the side, I can gain access on the top, screwing things down here, but also screwing in and finishing off drywall and such on the inside, and having 3 inches here to attach any type of trim. Now this one here is, you know, a modest trim here, but sometimes, you know, you might get something a little bit bigger, and you need that to connect to. So anyways, that's what I call the rip sill. I call it the rip sill because we're going to rip it to a specific dimension to fit inside that wall. And yeah, we got more videos coming up where we can talk about the installation of the window and such, but I wanted to set the parameters for that rough opening and how we plan for it, and you know, this detail here. So until I can improve upon this, this is pretty much the detail we'll be running with for a little bit. So anyways, there you have it, the rip sill.
I told you. I know you didn't want to believe me at the beginning, but sill details are damn near the most exciting thing to talk about in the building industry. So anyways, Big Red's off to bed. I probably am too very soon. It's getting late here. But anyways, that's the sill detail. If you're looking for more, BuildShowNetwork.com. You're here. Go check out all the other stuff. Build Show Build Boston on the Originals tab. Hit it. All 9 episodes. Watch them 7 times. Yes, that's what the science says. I don't know what to tell you. And if you're looking for more, Steve Basic Architect on Instagram. Yeah, I'm putting stuff up there all the time. Just for you. Make a few comments. I'll respond. We'll turn it into a discussion. We'll both learn something. How's that? Deal? All right. Other than that,
Unbuild It Podcast. Jake Bruton, Peter Yost, and myself throwing out a little bit of knowledge here and there. Peter's got, well over 200 years of knowledge. So, yeah, that's a joke. It's a real bad one. But anyways, you get the idea. Go check it out. Unbuild It Podcast. Until next time, long live our buildings.